Chip Rowan with your Armstrong Neighborhood Channel, and you are watching In the Know. For this episode, we are at the Edwin S. Theater here at the Connellsville Community Center, and joining me is Frank Jacobyansky. Hello, Frank.
How you doing, Chip?
I am doing well. So Frank actually is working on a new project. You always have to have a project going, don't you, Frank?
It keeps life interesting,
Yeah, it
Chip.
does.
Yes.
And this project is the Porter Film Festival, and he's organizing this, the first annual, hopefully, Porter Film Festival. And if you will, tell the folks that are watching at home what's going to happen.
Well, I will first of all say that it is not just me. We have a nice committee. Kevin Ghost is a big part of it, as are several other people, which I will mention. But basically what the Edwin S. Porter Film Festival is about. Edwin S. Porter is mentioned several times in this city. There's a historical marker. There's a mural. We're sitting in the Edwin S. Porter Theater, but who is Edwin S. Porter? Well, most people don't know.
There he is.
That's Edwin S. Porter. So Edwin S. Porter was born in Connellsville in 1870, and he was the first great American film director. He was very innovative with some of his films, and he set the tone for the early development of cinema in this country. That's Edwin S. Porter.
And when is your festival?
Our festival will be on September 7th. It's a Saturday. It will be here at the Edwin S. Porter Theater in the Community Center. The films will start filming, they're showing at 7 o'clock, but the doors will open at 6 o'clock because we like to have a little get together with people who want to come and see the films.
Now, talk about the schedule for the evening. I looked at that on your Facebook page, and it's quite a full schedule. So talk about how that's going to flow a little bit.
Well, the doors will open at 6 o'clock, and we will have drinks and hors d'oeuvres, which are included in the ticket price. But the films will start at 7 o'clock. We are fortunate. We're going to have a nationally well-known orchestra in ragtime circles. It's called the Peacherine Ragtime Society Orchestra. They're coming in out of Baltimore. They are a professional orchestra, and they're going to play continuously. The films will start at 7 o'clock, and it will be I wouldn't say a fast-paced evening, but it probably will be. There will be continuous music. There will be 4 short films at the beginning in the first part of Edwin S. Porter. Films back then were very short, usually about 10 minutes or so. So you have to show more than one film. But since Edwin S. Porter is iconic and he's from Connellsville, we're going to show 3 of Edwin S. Porter's films. There will then be an intermission during which the music will still be playing. And then the second half is a film called The Freshman with Harold Lloyd. Harold Lloyd is one of the 3 main film comedians of the silent era. And it's a funny movie. We thought it should be a nice, enjoyable evening. Again, there will be music played throughout these films.
From the orchestra?
From the live orchestra.
And where are they from, Frank, the orchestra?
They're mostly out of Baltimore.
Okay.
Their leader, a guy named Andrew Green, is from, he now lives at Raystown Lake. And we were fortunate enough to be able to touch base with them and get them to come and play here.
So we shouldn't assume that anyone knows anything. These are silent movies. So that's why you have to have an orchestra, because there's actually no sound with them, correct? So the orchestra is going to be putting in sound effects, I'm assuming, as it goes along. Is that?
Well, the music they will play has been specifically written for these silent films.
For these. Okay.
Originally, when silent films were showed in this country, they were usually accompanied by live music, and they had to have scores for that because you couldn't just play any old music, any happenstance music. So these are the original scores that they're going to be playing. This band specializes in silent movies. Okay. And since this is a ragtime band, most of this music will be very hopping and interesting.
Yeah. So from what I saw on the schedule, there's a film, and they'll play with that. And then there's actually music in between while you're changing reels too, I believe.
When silent films first came out, they usually were mostly either 1 or 2 reelers. A reeler is one piece of film. So back then they had to change the film. So to keep the audiences interested, they would play music. So the Peacherine Ragtime Society Orchestra is going to play musical compositions. Now, they were not written for the films. They were written independent of the films, but it's good hopping music.
Yeah.
I know one of the music pieces they're going to play is based on The Entertainer by Scott Joplin. I'm sure you know that name.
Yeah.
And so it should be a very fun evening. But this is a professional band. Yes.
You mentioned the ticket price included some hors d'oeuvres and some drinks and things. How much are tickets?
Tickets are $40.
Okay.
But for $40, and that's per person, you get live music, you get 4 films, you get hors d'oeuvres by Sparks Catering. Anybody who lives in Connellsville knows how good Sparks Catering is. And you also get 2 drinks. Now, that can be non-alcoholic if you so desire, but we have a winery who's going to come in and serve wine, and we pretty sure we're going to have a local brewery make some beer for us. And you enjoy this, Chip, because it's Edwin S. Porter, and a porter's a type of beer, so they're going to make an Edwin S. Porter for this event.
I do like that.
Yeah, that was sort of a little pun there. We thought that was funny.
Very good. Where can folks get tickets? There's a couple places I know. Talk about that.
Most people are ordering tickets online, and I think if you go, we have a Facebook page. It's Porter Film Fest, and if you go to that page, believe it's Ludus. Kevin, what is
It's
this?
porter.ludus.com.
Porter.ludus.com. And most people seem to be buying tickets online.
Yeah.
But for those older people like myself, Chip, you can buy them in person. You can buy them. They're available at Craig Appliance, Somerset Trust, the train station, Community Ministries building downtown. And you could call me, Frank Jacobyansky.
Excellent. Sounds like a number of places you can get that. Talk about where the idea came from to do this film festival.
Well, I'm not originally from Connellsville, Chip.
Okay.
I think you know that. So I moved here in 83, 82. And there were three names that were iconic in Connellsville. There was John Lujack, there was John Woodruff, and there was Edwin S. Porter. And I really didn't know who these people were. So as you live here, you become familiar with these people because they were, at least in their time, they were very, very famous. So we've always honored Woodruff. Lujack goes without saying, he's an Heisman Trophy winner. But we've never really done anything for Edwin S. Porter. So I'm thinking, we have the Porter Theater, we have these historical signs. Why don't we do a silent film festival? In 2009, Karen Heckler, wonderful leader of the Historical Society.
She was my history teacher in junior high school.
And she hasn't aged a bit.
She hasn't.
She's just so great. But she wrote an article in the Crossroads magazine, which is a local, put up by, I believe, the Cultural Trust.
Okay.
And in the article, she said, it would be great someday if we put on an Edwin S. Porter Film Festival. And we have these words written down. And she said, perhaps it could be done in the newly renovated, which was in 2009, the Porter Theater at the Community Center. So that probably spurred my interest, and I've been kicking this idea around for 10 years. Last year, Pittsburgh had their first silent film festival. I went down, I talked to the organizer. They came down and looked at this venue. They said, this would be great. You guys should do this. And and then fortunately, I got hooked up with two very smart people, Kevin Ghost and Barry Craig, who are the brains behind this operation.
Now, the Connellsville Community Ministries actually manages this building, so that's convenient. And I think this benefits them. This festival actually benefits the ministry, correct?
Any and all profits will go into Community Ministries, who does a wonderful job for this community. You know this, Chip.
I do know this.
They have a great food bank. They serve a population that is in need sometimes of services, and they are great. And everything goes into Community Ministries. The Community Ministries has made some improvements to this building. As we speak, we're putting in a new screen, not just for this event, but for other future
It's
events.
actually happening right now.
It's happening right now. There's if you haven't been to the theater in years, you'd be amazed how nice it is now.
It's air conditioned.
Oh, you did? Okay, it is.
Which is a wonderful thing. And it's part of a concern for people because we
Yes.
have these 90-degree days.
Yes.
And I know they just did some painting,
They did.
improved some windows, and as you mentioned, they're putting a new screen in. Those are all great things. Sponsorship opportunities. So this costs a lot. I think the orchestra a lot was expensive to get. So there's money.
I shouldn't really say how much it is, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But it was the biggest part of our budget.
Yeah.
Some of that's reflected in the ticket price. And if we completely sell out, we will be fine. But I don't know if we're going to sell at 550 seats. So we have been canvassing the community with donation and sponsorship offers. And it's not that we make money out of this. The Community Ministries makes money. So any donations or sponsorships will go directly to the Community Ministries. It would also help pay our bills for this event.
It's a great way to celebrate Edwin S. Porter, but it's also a nice way to raise some money for the ministry and a good opportunity for some fellowship too.
It is great because in Connellsville, you don't have a lot of opportunities to do something like this. It's rare to find a festival like this anywhere, to be honest.
I'll be here. As a young man, I used to buy Laurel and Hardy films, which were black and white, of course, and silent, and watch those at home. So I've never been to like a silent movie that's been shown in the theater.
Well,
so
let me
this would be a first.
one more thing. The director of the band, a guy named Andrew Green, he's actually going to introduce each movie, and he's going to explain what the audiences were supposed to do when they watch silent films. So it's almost a participation where you cheer for the hero, you boo and hiss the evil guy. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. The great train robberies, the first one, right? That was the first movie. Is that am I correct?
It wasn't the first movie. It was the first movie that was considered a blockbuster
Right.
in
Okay.
this country.
What year was that?
1903.
1903. Okay.
And then he has 2 other short movies. And by today's standards, the technology isn't that good. But if you go back to 1903 or 4 or 5, you'll say, how did they do this without computers? How did they make this stuff happen in these movies?
I think it's very,
amazing.
very. It was the start of all of that we know as movies right now, as motion pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you will, Frank, give us the date, time, and where people can buy tickets.
The date will be Saturday, September 7th. The doors will open at 6 o'clock. Probably the films will be over by 9 o'clock. So if you so desire, you can still go out afterwards to one of our local establishments. You can buy tickets online, and I believe this is going to show up on the screen. It is Ludus.
Porter.ludus.com.
Porter.ludus, Ludus.com. There are also 4 venues with access that they haven't sold out to paper tickets. Craig Appliance, Somerset Trust at the train station, Community Ministries building, and myself, Frank Jacobyansky. You can just call me. My number's on all these posters.
Excellent. If someone wanted to sponsor, I didn't hit that. Who should they contact to sponsor?
Me also.
Okay.
Or Barry Craig.
And what's the best way for them to contact you?
Call me, and my number's listed all over the place.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Frank, I wish you well with the first Porter Film Festival. I hope it goes well. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
We're pretty excited about it. Thank you so much, Jim.
You're very
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
And now you're in the know.